82% voter turnout in Bengal, 76.9% in Assam. In phase 1 of the elections 2021, polling booths across both states opened at 7 a.m. Closing times extended by an hour due to the pandemic. It's a tit-for-tat leaked audio attack. First, the BJP releases a recording of Mamata Banerjee unsuccessfully trying to persuade a TMC leader who crossed over to the BJP to return to the fold. Then the TMC releases an audio which they say blows the lid on the BJP-EC nexus. The authenticity of both audios yet to be confirmed. India records 62,258 fresh COVID cases in 24 hours. Night curfew in Maharashtra from tomorrow. Malls, restaurants to be shut at night. Delhi reports 1,500 COVID cases, again the biggest death count in 2 months. President KOVIND to undergo bypass procedure on Tuesday. The president had undergone a health checkup at the military hospital following chest discomfort on Friday morning. He's been shifted to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Air India will be 100% disinvested, says the Civil Aviation Minister. It's a choice between disinvestment and closing down. Prospective buyers given 64 days to come up with their bids. Hello and welcome. The first phase of the Marathon 2021 Assembly elections are over. Bengal reported 82% voter turnout. Assam, the other state that voted on Saturday, 76.9%. Voting for the first phase of elections in the two states began in the morning at 7 a.m. for 30 seats in Assam, 30 seats in West Bengal, I beg your pardon, and 47 in Assam. In Bengal, the Trinamool is facing a tough fight from the BJP in its bid for a third straight term. In Assam, the BJP is hoping to win a second straight term with Chief Minister Sarbananda Sonowal, the biggest name on the ballot today. And it was a day of releasing tit-for-tat leaked videos in West Bengal. But first, on the ground, there was a sigh of relief at the end of the first phase of polling, which saw only sporadic reports of clashes.
Democracy at work. Angry voters claiming a flaw in the EVMs that gave BJP the vote if you pressed TMC.
तो हम लोग का टीएमसी में बटन दबाया 3 नंबर बटन तो उधर 2 नंबर में भाजपा का वीवीपैट में भाजपा का पर्ची दिखाई दिया.
A car vandalized, a driver thrashed, its passenger accused of harassing TMC poll agents. He is the youngest brother of Shubhendu Adhikari, Mamata Banerjee's rival at Nandigram, the big fight in phase 2 of the Bengal polls.
कौन सी पार्टी का?
और टीएमसी का पार्टी.
कौन था आप जानते हैं? जैसे कौन था?
ब्लॉक प्रेसिडेंट राम गोविंद दास.
यही रहते हैं.
हाँ, 1 नंबर ब्लॉक का प्रेसिडेंट है.
Sporadic trouble like this erupted through the day, but outright violence capped by over 700 companies of central forces deployed in the 5 polling districts. Jungle Mahal, very, very special. 30 seats going to the polls today. In these 30 seats, in 2016, the Trinamool had won in as many as 26 seats. But in 2019, the BJP led in as many as 20. So this phase of elections, the first battleground, a direct confrontation between the Trinamool and the BJP.
The BJP candidate has gone there with his boys and he's kind of terrorizing people over there. The people who went to vote has fled from there.
289, 290 मिदनापुर टाउन का बूथ में कुछ तृणमूली जो हर साल ही गड़बड़ी करता है वो लोग का साथ झड़प हुआ है. खबर समझ रहे हैं, हम वापस लौट के जा रहे हैं उधर.
Phase 1 of the Bengal polls done and dusted. The countdown now to Nandigram and the rest of the 8 phase polls in the state. With Anurag Dwari in Kanthi, in Mednipur, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.
And phase one of these elections has opened up a new war front between the BJP and the TMC. First, halfway through polling, the BJP played out a phone conversation in which Mamata Banerjee is allegedly asking a former party worker from Nandigram, who is now with the BJP, to return to the TMC. He declines. The BJP expose clearly directed at embarrassing Mamata Banerjee. But at the end of the day, the TMC hit back much harder, releasing a taped phone conversation which they say is allegedly of two BJP leaders, which the TMC says blows the lid on the BJP EC nexus. The TMC says that it is an audio clip between the BJP's Mukul Roy discussing ways to influence the EC. In this tape, a conversation can be heard between Shishir Bajoria and Mukul Roy, where Mukul Roy asks him to include in a list of items to be raised with the EC a very specific question on polling agents or booth agents of political parties, those who sit inside polling booths on voting day. They're usually residents of the booth area. Roy then says that the EC should be requested to pass administrative orders permitting any voter anywhere in Bengal to be booth agents. Mukul Roy can then be heard saying, if we don't get this done, the BJP will not be able to field agents in many booths. And then this week, the EC passed an order allowing Bengal voters to be booth agents anywhere in the state, an order the TMC objected to vociferously and asked for this order to be rescinded. NDTV cannot verify the authenticity of these audio tapes. They are yet to be verified.
আমি তো অনেক ইয়াং ছেলে এবং অনেক কাজ করো, আমি জানি সবকিছু। তুমি একটু এবারে একটু আমাদের সাহায্য করে দাও না, তুমি দেখবে কোনো অসুবিধা হবে না।
বলিস আপনাকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ ফোন করার জন্য। মানে আপনি এত বড় নেতৃত্ব হওয়ার সঙ্গে সত্ত্বেও একজন সাধারণ কর্মীকে হিসেবে আমাকে ফোন করেছেন, এর জন্য অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। কিন্তু দিদি আমাকে ক্ষমা করবে।
ইসি আসছে কবে? পরশু
21 আমাদের ডাকবে 21।
তুমি এমনি পয়েন্ট যা তোমরা করছো করো, ঠিক আছে? খালি তুমি আমার হয়ে একটা দুটো পয়েন্ট করে দাও, ঠিক আছে?
বলুন।
এক নম্বর হচ্ছে বাংলা, এটা তো ঘটনা যে বাংলায় আমরা চাইবো যে এজেন্ট হবে, এজেন্ট হওয়ার জন্য তোমাকে কোনো নির্দিষ্ট নিয়ম নীতি রাখলে হবে না। যে পারবে যে কোনো বুথে সে এজেন্ট হতে পারে, যে পশ্চিমবাংলার নাগরিক। কারণ আমাদের
পশ্চিমবঙ্গের
ভোটার, কারণ তা না হলে কি হবে, আমাদের তো সার্টেন পার্সেন্টেজ অফ বুথ আছে যে বুথে যেতেই পারবে না লোক।
And the heartland of Assamese politics voted today, the Upper Assam districts. It is said that whoever wins here will have an upper hand, and all eyes this time are on new regional alliances and whether they will cut into both the Congress and the BJP and its key ally, the AGP, votes.
Long lines outside over 11,000 polling stations in Assam as 47 seats polled today in the first phase. The fate of 264 candidates locked today, including that of Chief Minister Sarvananda Sonowal, as well as AGP Chief Atul Bora, Assam Congress Chief Ripun Bora, Assam Assembly Speaker Hitendranath Goswami, Leader of the Opposition Devabrata Saikia, and jailed anti-CA activist Akhil Gogoi. Assam Chief Minister Sarvananda Sonowal began the day with a prayer at a shrine in Dibrugarh, where he cast his vote.
सबके लिए शांति, सब हाँ पार्टी के लिए तो जीत, पार्टी के लिए तो जीत मैंने बोला, सब हमारे जितना उम्मीदवार है सब जीत के आए।
Talking to a representative of the next government of Assam who will work for the 5 guarantees, and we are all committed to ensure that the problems of unemployment, price rise and the widening gap between the rich and the poor are taken care of.
From the Assamese heartland to the tea gardens that dot the region, polling was peaceful.
Akhil Gogoi contesting very strongly, I feel.
अपेक्षा तो हमारी यही रहेगी कि आगे जाके हमें जो चीज़ हमें चाहिए, हमें तो जनता को तो काम चाहिए बस, और तो हमें कुछ नहीं। तो काम हमारा होना चाहिए। आगे जाके हम यही चाहते हैं कि जो भी सरकार बने, हमारा जो प्रॉब्लम जो भी होता है वो सब हमारा पूरा हो जाए। हम यही चाहते हैं सरकार से।
जो 351 रुपया नहीं दे सकता, तो 365 रुपया जो बोला है हम लोगों को, हम उसको आखा करके इस बार चुनाव में जिताएगा।
There are 47 seats in 2016 when the BJP was able to win the elections and form the first government by throwing out the 15-year-old government of the Congress. It was Upper Assam who gave them the mandate. They swept the elections in Upper Assam. They with their allies won 35 of the seats, and this time the Congress would be hoping to regain lost grounds where the BJP would try to actually capitalize, maintain its hold on Upper Assam and perhaps also get some more seats. In the second and third phases, key allies of the Congress Mahajot like Ajmal and BPF are expected to challenge the ruling alliance. With Sanjay Chakravarti, Nakul Rabha and Manish Kumar, in Jorhat, Ratndeep Chaudhary for NDTV.
And Maharashtra on Saturday banned all kinds of public gatherings, including political and religious ones, amidst a big spike in COVID-19 cases in the state. Restaurants, gardens, malls will have to remain shut between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. from tomorrow. That's Sunday. The state government has said the people are not going to be allowed to visit beaches from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. and drama theatres will have to pull down their shutters. The government has, however, allowed food delivery at night. And Delhi has reported 1,500 COVID cases, again the biggest death count in 2 months. The Delhi government has now imposed restrictions in the capital in the wake of these surging cases. Now the maximum number of people allowed at wedding ceremonies has been reduced to 100. Not more than 50 people can attend funerals. These restrictions will be in place at least till the 30th of April. This as India recorded 62,258 new coronavirus cases in the last 24 hours, the biggest single-day jump since the 16th of October. The Union Health Secretary chaired a high-level meeting with 12 states and union territories that have been reporting a surge in cases. They've been advised to focus on stringent containment and public health measures, increased testing, vaccination, effective tracing and prompt isolation. Meanwhile, India's vaccines the taking of Indian vaccines seems to be slowing down, and we spoke with the ICMR expert on why there seems to be this hesitancy, why we seem to be seeing a plateauing when it comes to vaccinations and the problem of vaccine wastage and how to tackle that.
India fights COVID, and its fight against COVID-19, all the healthcare workers, scientists and frontline workers are working round the clock. One of the biggest weapons of India against COVID-19 is the vaccines that have been developed in the country. To talk about vaccination, we have a special guest here today with us, Dr. Samiran Panda, who is the head of Epidemiology and Communicable Diseases Division of ICMR. Sir, thank you for speaking to us. Day 70th of vaccination. According to the government, we have vaccinated above 58 million people. If you look at the progress, how do you look at the number of people we have vaccinated so far?
I believe that we are slowly increasing the number, which is a good sign. And India prioritized groups which will be vaccinated first and next. The priority groups were healthcare professionals, frontline workers, and of course those who are above 60, because they being elderly following infection, their chance of landing up in advanced stage of the disease or in unfortunate events, even facing death, and those who are with comorbidity. So these were appropriately chosen priority groups. The issue is not just reaching out to a few. The issue is about having or attaining good coverage.
Right.
Here we are talking about herd immunity, but not through natural infection, but herd immunity through vaccination. And in order to reach there, each of the prioritized groups need to have at least 70% of them, all the 70% members of a particular group needs to be covered with the vaccine.
What about vaccine wastage? Are we seeing that in large numbers right now? And what is responsible for it?
That's a very important question, I would say, because the vaccine wastage again is not something which is welcome, not at all.
Right.
Because vaccine is one of the major armamentarium of our fight against COVID-19 in India, in addition to the mask and other things. So wastage again is not uniformly high in all the districts.
Okay.
Some of the states are really doing so well, particularly with regard to vaccine hesitancy, that people are coming forward and asking for a vaccine.
Okay.
Whereas in some of the states, the hesitancy is more. So wherever this is, wherever it is directly proportional. Where hesitancy is more, the wastage will be more, because although people will receive their messages and mobile, they would still not come forward.
Okay.
So it is very important to recognize that it's hesitancy which is adding to this problem of vaccine wastage.
And the rate of India's vaccinations, which seemed to be initially rising steeply, now seems to be plateauing. And the question is, what's holding India back?
India in 70 days of its vaccination drive has administered over 58 million doses of vaccine against COVID-19 to its population. The number of vaccination, which was rising steeply by mid-March, seems to be plateauing in the past few days. The biggest question, what is holding India back? In the past 7 days, on average 2.3 million doses of vaccines have been daily administered in India. According to experts, the biggest reason why more vaccines aren't being given is hesitancy among the people.
This is a fundamental right, I believe, to know what is right, the correct information, rather than any information. So it's not just one epidemic we are facing, of SARS-CoV-2. Infodemic is also happening. So it's epidemic of wrong information and myths and misconceptions related to vaccine. So all of these are adding to the vaccine hesitancy.
The centre plans to micromanage the worst impacted districts and strengthen logistics to boost immunization.
70 to 80 odd districts which are reporting most of the active infections now in the second surge, and the deaths are also being reported there. So clearly the infection is spreading not all over India. It's in a few states, and if you go little deeper in, it's actually in a few districts.
Experts say in coming days private players will play a big role.
Private healthcare can even play a bigger role than what it has done so far by, I think, increasing the number of centers for vaccinations, or increasing the number of hours of vaccination, and especially trying to tie up with various corporates, public sector undertakings where there's a large volume of employee base.
There are only 3 vaccines.
Adar Poonawala, CEO of world's largest vaccine manufacturer, Serum Institute of India, today said trials in India have started for Covovax, the coronavirus vaccine being developed in partnership with American vaccine developer Novavax, and that he hopes to launch it by September. Health experts and the government have reiterated that vaccines along with COVID-appropriate behavior is the only way to suppress the chain of transmission of COVID-19. In New Delhi, with camera person Ashok Mahale, Akshay Dongre for NDTV.
Welcome back. Now, President of India, KOVIND, has been shifted to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Post-investigations, doctors have advised him to undergo a planned bypass procedure, which is expected to be performed on the morning of the 30th of March, that's Tuesday. The President's health is stable and he is under the care of the experts at the Institute. And the Punjab Chief Minister Amrinder Singh has condemned the attack on BJP M.L.A. Arun Narang from Abohar and warned strict action against anyone disturbing the state's peace. The Chief Minister's tweet comes after a video surfaced on social media purportedly showing the M.L.A. in torn clothes being shifted to a safer place by the police, where this BJP M.L.A. was reportedly attacked and beaten up by protesting farmers. And finally, the image of the day, actor turned politician, the BJP candidate from the Thousand Lights Assembly constituency, Khushbu Sundar, cooked dosas as part of her campaign for the Tamil Nadu Assembly elections. She was campaigning in her constituency in Nungambakam and stopped at a restaurant where she said, "Let me show off my cooking skills here." That's the news at this hour. Stay tuned to NDTV for constant updates. Bye-bye.